like fight.
I'm sorry.
To
play fight.
My bad. Because she just hit me.
Buddy, you do a terrible accent.
Oh, yeah. I'm not French.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
That's good.
I'm Kyler, and you're Jonathan.
And it's Tuesday at 9 a.m. And that was my bad.
That was our lead-in. Yeah. If you didn't see, over the weekend, President Emmanuel Macron of France got punched in the face by his wife. But they were play fighting.
That's pretty strong. I don't know if it was a punch. It was like
I'm
two
using the
hands
harshest-
to the face.
It was a good
I have no idea what was going on.
big shove.
It was a good, I'm sure Zach Rack wants more.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for loving it. We're going to be on one day. I can feel it. So.
Yeah.
It was fun because you had the thing that was telling for me is because when they were in like Vietnam or something in Southeast Asia. They were coming down the steps, and because it was after she gave him the whole push.
No, this is so good right here.
Yeah, he like offered his arm to have her walk down the steps with him.
Nope.
Just didn't even like look at him.
Like,
grab the opposite end of the railing and just walk down.
His arm just stands up, and he draws a little, but doesn't fully because then it'd be too obvious.
It's too noticeable then. Yeah. Now he's just walking down the steps. Got a little strut going.
The weird part though is like the plane had to be massive because they kept going toward. She came out of the cabin side, and he came out of the back of the airplane, like wherever. And it's like, dude, that's crazy because normally up there, like, there's nothing once you get to the pilots, right?
Yeah.
No, there must have been a bathroom or something.
Since maybe they have a private suite up front or
yeah,
something.
who knows? Yeah, right.
So it's like there got to be their version of Air Force One.
Right, yeah.
French Force One.
Yeah. Oh, man. That was, I mean,
It was a wild
I hope that everything works out for them. Like, I'm not, but it's just, it was crazy to see. It was not something that I expected over the weekend.
And yeah, no, I don't I think yesterday morning that was making headlines. And
Yeah.
I mean, looking at it, I wasn't ready. I don't think it was play. I don't think it was playing around. That was their whole excuse.
It was not play.
It was a play
You could
fight.
tell. He goes, you could see the look of like, no. He gets in the face and he sees the door just open. He's like,
What, you think he was about to offer the backhand or something?
no, it's not that. It was like he realized that everybody just saw that.
Yeah.
And now we got to go and fix this. That was the look on his face. And so he waves, and then he sheepishly waves, steps back into his area, and then they step back out.
And then they come out together.
Well, kind of together. It worked.
Not quite arm in arm, but
That's the Memorial Day weekend roundup right there.
Frenchians. Oh, wow, the Frenchians in Vietnam. That's actually
actually a
its
thing.
own crazy thing too.
Yeah.
If everyone, history lesson for anyone that by chance doesn't know, France did the whole America and Vietnam thing before America was in Vietnam.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting things.
Wild stuff. Big weekend. Memorial Day, of course. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Thanks for checking us out.
Yes.
As always, we got a whole bunch we're going to talk about today. Next, another big international thing this weekend. Not as, lighthearted as that, but seeing the UK yesterday, after Liverpool won the Premier League Cup or whatever, some dude just drove through the parade with his car, hit a bunch of
terrible.
people. Yeah,
they're saying it's not a terrorist attack either.
Yeah, so it sounds like just some crazy dude just rolling through traffic.
Yeah. Well, it's my bad.
Yeah, like I remember.
I mean, to be fair, like maybe he works nights and he drives the same route to work every day.
Yeah, you're just coming.
You want to? This isn't. I know this isn't like funny because it's sad. There's lives that have been changed, but I had to change my route to work because I would drive to the downtown area every day. And during school year, I would drive by Longfellow's school. And I'm just driving to work, man. And then, like, you get to this school area, and there's kids everywhere, and they're crossing the street, and you need to be careful. And it is on you as a driver to be careful. I'm not passing responsibility. I was like, this is not a safe place for me to be.
Like, I need to get to work.
So I'm like, I'm not going this route anymore because one day I'm going to make a mistake and be half awake and be like, I'm so sorry.
And just plow through a crosswalk when you should.
No, yes, this would be terrible. It'd be absolutely terrible.
It would be horrendous. You'd make.
And so
I'd be talking on the podcast without you, about you. That'd be horrible, dude.
And so I was like, we're going a different route to work. And that was a good decision for me.
You made the right call there,
Yeah.
Jonathan.
It's crazy that I mean, you think when you hear something like that, you think it's intentional, someone's nefarious, and evidently,
Like, I'll never forget. I think it was in like Oregon, Washington, California. There was someone had a dash cam of their own vehicle, and it was this big guy in a truck, and he was just all worked up because there was this big like street fair going on, his normal route, and there were cones everywhere. He's just getting all heated and mad and yelling, and he just says screw it and just barrels through and starts driving through.
That's terrible.
Yeah, but it's like you can see how a person can get so worked up that they just say, screw it, here we go.
I felt that way when we were down in Bismarck on Thursday trying to find a place to park at Sanford Hospital.
Downtown Bismarck can be a mess.
But it's terrible. Yeah. There's like, the markings are terrible.
We're like, what, are you going to go 3 blocks away and park in their big parking garage?
We ended up in a parking garage.
So, okay, you did. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, it's like, but I had no problem. Well, I didn't really want to pay for parking. Okay, so there's that, right?
Fair.
But there's like, if it just said stand for parking in the parking garage, whatever. No, they probably can't because they're all owned not by them.
Yeah, it's probably all city property.
Who knows? It was irritating.
I'll never forget this one time when I was down there. My grandma was in the hospital. We were staying there with my aunt in Bismarck, and I was parking outside the hospital. I think it might have been St. A's, though, not Sanford, but it was like right across the
street.
Same
problem.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same area, so it's the same principle. But no, it was Sanford because it was more downtown. St. A's has more of a noticeable parking lot.
Anyways.
Yes, I got a parking ticket.
Oh, where'd you park?
In like their 2-hour parking. I was inside for like 3-4 hours.
I mean, that's on you.
It was, yep.
As bad as that is, that's on you.
It is. It is what it is. Just heads up. Bismarck Parking Police are on top of it in downtown Bismarck.
There you go. We're all over the place this morning.
We are. Where else do you want to go now?
We've been to Vietnam, we've been to England, and we've been to Bismarck.
Yes, fun trip. We're next.
Soon we might need to take a stop in Minot.
As well, big bombing in the Ukraine too.
There was
big drone missile thing that happened over the weekend.
Read that perhaps they tried to take out Putin.
Possibly, I did hear that there was more like Moscow targets, and that's why. I guess that would make sense why this would be like the biggest drone attack that Russia's done in like 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would be wild. But yeah, again, peace talks haven't yet come to fruition. So
not working out as well as one had hoped.
Yeah, 4 months ago it was supposed to be rocking, but here we are. It's all good. They're going to figure it out eventually, right?
You know what? Eventually it will be figured out.
It will. Not putting any timetable onto that.
I'm not sure if they will figure it out, but eventually it will be figured out.
Yes, it will be resolved at one point in time.
Whether that means it's the end of the world or what, it will resolve.
That plays out. That's
promises.
Yeah, exactly. So how was your Memorial Day weekend, Jonathan?
I got a lot of sun.
Did you? Good. Play some sports outside?
Yeah. You only asked that question because you know I did.
Yes.
So he's being a good salesman asking questions he knows the answers to.
I'm baiting, yes.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I mean, it was a good weekend.
That's good.
And spent time with family. How about you? How was work?
I was not that busy. I worked Saturday.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, it wasn't slammed, but I had a few, and it went well. It was a nice, relaxing weekend outside of my car's transmission blowing up.
That's a bad deal.
That was not ideal.
That is not it.
But we'll figure it out.
That's not the move.
It's not, but we're rocking. We're rolling.
If anyone has an extra transmission.
If anyone wants a car, I got a hot deal for you.
Hot deal. No transmission, but a great deal.
It still runs.
Runs, has heated seats.
Yeah.
So
it has an auto start that now doesn't work, but it's probably nothing.
Yeah, that's not yeah.
I'll hook you up.
Doesn't have a check engine light because it can't turn on that far. No.
See, it does have the check engine light. And
that light has not gone on.
When you're shifting, you have to let off the gas so it'll downshift for you. But hey, it's fine.
It's fine
because it's Memorial Day weekend and everyone's having a good time.
That's right.
Like on yesterday, more locally, there was some really cool stuff that went on at Rose Hill. I mean,
yes.
Down in Bismarck at the State Cemetery, there was a big event. I know.
Right.
Like the governor, Hoven, Fedoracek, and I think the lieutenant governor all spoke down there. That was a big, kind of neat little thing going on down there. I know they had a lot of cool There was like 600 motorcycle riders I saw.
I mean, to be fair, some probably were pretty excited because finally all those people showed up in one place.
You think they did a press conference?
I mean, somebody should have forced that on them.
Right. Oh, if only. But hey, yeah, you had, 2 of the 3 national congressional delegates there.
Yeah, and one of them is pretty hard to track down.
It's true. At least Fedoracek at least gives the appearance of being open when she does her.
She virtually gives the appearance of being.
Yeah.
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 He virtually was untouched as he ran through the line, at playing football.
Yeah.
Virtually untouched into the end zone.
Still,
She's virtually available.
Yes, exactly. It's all online, man.
Yeah.
You just got to sign up beforehand. And you can possibly get on the phone with her.
Possibly.
I don't know how the second one went. I didn't watch it. First one
Neither.
was neat, so I'll give them
Hey,
props.
she was a Minot.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
No one else heard about it, but until afterwards. But it's fine. It wasn't supposed to be like that, I guess.
Bro.
Well,
Anyways.
it's true. I'm not
Anyways.
in
Keep it moving. Keep it
In
moving.
Minot, we had the Rose Hill one yesterday, and our good legend Charles Crane, shout out to him, had
Yes.
an awesome article in the Minot Daily News this morning about it.
Local legend.
Yes, without a doubt. A really cool thing down there. They had Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Langen who's I guess the deputy commander of the 5th Maintenance Group stationed at Minot Air Force Base, gave the keynote address. Had some really good words there. If you get a chance to read the article through Minot Daily, you definitely should. Gave some great perspective to someone that served over the last 25 years, who participated in, unfortunately, a lot of ceremonies moving bodies from overseas back home. So really good to see that kind of coming full circle for them. Sounds like they had a pretty good showing yesterday. It was a beautiful day for it. So really, really cool thing that happened down at Rose Hill yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Go Minot.
Heck yeah.
Go Minot.
Why not Minot?
Cool thing's going to happen tonight, too.
What's going on tonight?
Heard there's going to be a
I have all my dates mixed
School
up,
meeting?
so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, isn't there supposed to be a
school
board meeting?
Yeah, they're doing the follow-up to last week. That's going to be an interesting debate because if they don't settle on either some kind of deal pretty soon, because typically by the end of school, from what I've gathered, by the end of the school year is when the deal is finalized. So as soon as school is over, they're able to start handing out contracts to teachers for that next year or two. So they really are able to understand how many up or down they're going to be going into that year. So if they're delaying this into June, July time frame, all of a sudden you're given a lot less notice to who you're going to really need going into next year. So are you going to end up being short teachers that way if you don't end up getting a deal done? And I know you got to figure out a way to stop being in the red, but
Right.
they got to find some more common ground that they have. And I've heard a lot of teachers are starting to get upset about it. And
I'm sure
when unions get upset, where does that often lead? Now, I haven't heard anyone outright say it, but I've heard that be thrown as a possible suggestion.
What are
could
you
happen.
saying, Kyler?
A strike could happen, which is something that hasn't happened in like 50 years in Minot. I think in the 70s was the last time that happened. I would hope not. I mean, but I've heard it thrown around by a teacher, so I won't say that it's impossible. I don't think it's likely.
Yeah,
I don't think they're even planning to do it, but I've heard the term thrown around.
Yeah, I'm actually not seeing the one for tonight, so I'm not sure what's going on tonight. I see the one for tomorrow at noon.
That's what I thought it was, but
Yeah,
I heard other. I'm getting all my dates mixed up, so there's no worries with that. It's coming up, and they're going to get it settled. Hopefully, that's the big thing.
Yep, absolutely. So be interesting.
Exactly.
That's gonna be something that we're gonna start tracking, though. We're gonna be a little more involved, so we'll know when the meetings are actually happening on that one. So sorry about that.
But no, regardless from that, because it's not the regular meeting of their month. It's a special meeting that they've had to continue to extend, because the regular meeting, I think, was like it's the first Thursday of the month. So it would have been like May 7th or something. And the next one's like June 10th, I think, is the regularly scheduled
June
meetings.
12th.
I know that for sure.
June
June
12th.
12th. There we go. So I know that for sure. But these special ones, unfortunately,
Kind of throw you off.
Yeah, they threw me for a loop. And over the weekend, I lo and behold didn't pay too close attention to stuff. Sadly.
Yep.
And so
Miranda Schuler says I think impasse is more likely than
there's a good chance.
than hold out, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there's a good chance that ends up happening. And I hope I didn't imply that a strike is likely, but I just think it's the longer this thing goes for, the more of a possibility it becomes at that stage.
We'll go with the Kylerism. It is more likely now than it has been in the past.
Yes, you're darn right. It's more likely now than it was before the last meeting they had last week.
Yes.
Wednesday or Thursday?
Each meeting, he is like ESPN's like rating deal on who's more likely to win the game. That is Kyler.
That's me. Yes. It's just
they just scored,
adjusting.
so it's more likely they're going to win the game now, even though it is the first quarter. And they have 7 points, and the other team has 0. It is more likely
55-45 instead of 50-50.
Yep.
I love it.
Teacher strikes are illegal in North Dakota, from what I'm reading. So that'd be quite the conflict if they try.
That'd be a trip then. How can they even make that illegal? That's wild. I got to figure that out.
I think they got into law.
I mean, wow. That's okay. You're right there. Okay. That's a wild thing to codify in general, that public teachers aren't able to strike even though they're union members. So at that point, if you're going to end up doing that, you would need your whole union to, that's a mess. I got to look into that now. Thank you for that comment.
Well, we know what Kyler's column will be this week.
I'll actually have one this weekend, I promise.
So that's interesting. We'll be tracking that. Yeah. And something else that is happening tomorrow.
It's Wednesday.
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Yeah. There's like something at City Hall.
Something at City Hall.
Night.
There's going to be 4 candidates. I mean 3 candidates.
Get your numbers right, Jonathan.
No, I know it's 3. 3 finalists for a Minot Chief of Police position.
Wow. That's going to be interesting. I look forward to meeting
What
them.
are you thinking?
We got 3 people.
Yeah. Who do you think wins? There's supposed to be 4. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second.
Do you have a front runner?
Do you have a front runner? Who do I think is going to get it?
Yeah.
I think Plessis gets it.
Yeah. That's fair.
We
talked about that Thursday.
Yeah, we went down that road.
But there was some
more news that came out.
that we ran down on Thursday about there was a 4th candidate, which we were aware of that, and we ran down the reason. And he stated, the doctor stated that it was because he wasn't sure if he liked the idea that Alderman Rob Fuller would become mayor, and he was part of the start of the police investigation, and didn't like that conflict.
Yeah, that was.
He felt like that was a conflict, and he didn't like that connection. That'd be the better word. It's not necessarily a conflict. That depends on. That's a whole nother bag to get into.
Yeah, he saw it as a conflict, and he, because of that, didn't feel that the job was best for him, so he asked to no longer be considered. He said that new information came to light since he initially applied.
And that's possible. I don't know that Alderman Fuller had stated that he was running it.
I think that's my whole thought, is he must have applied before the either mayor situation happened, or at the very least before anyone announced their candidacies.
Right.
And so at that point, it sounds like he would have been at least amicable to it if Fuller would have been staying on the council, and we would have had Ross as mayor still, and that whole ordeal never happened. He never specifically said he was ruling it out in general. It was just because this guy was running for mayor. And that might be legitimately good reasoning, too. Maybe this isn't the kind of conflict you want to have as the mayor. But also on the flip side of that, if you're the chief of police, you're going to have to deal with probably bigger fish to fry than this.
Yeah, that's the part that's crazy to me. I am sure he doesn't understand how the Minot City works, which he shouldn't. That's not on the candidate fully. But whether and I understand that the mayor has more influence than the council, a councilman.
Generally speaking,
but in Minot, it's not by much. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, if you had a problem with him, then whether he was on council or if you have a problem with him, he was in his current position when the investigation happened. So if you're going to pin the entire investigation on him, he was already in that position. Yeah. That part didn't change.
No, that was the only thing you can argue is, I guess you could say that, because he was in the position is the only reason that this investigation came to light. But I feel like this is something that was brewing underneath anyways. And even if Fuller didn't have the connections he does to the police department, this is something that probably would have come to the surface regardless.
Eventually. Yeah.
Maybe it was just sped up by a couple months because some people knew Rob personally,
Right.
and so they reached out to him. And again, coming in as chief, that's a subjective thing to if you think that's what you think of that relationship. That's a whole different situation there. But I think the bigger thing of it all is just the perception that Minot's in right now.
Right. Before we move to that, I want to go there. But Alderman Fuller did make a statement.
Yeah, he did.
In regards to it.
Pretty much said it's on him if that's his prerogative.
It was his decision to make. He respects his right to do so, Mr. Roselle's right to do so. And then he went into some of the stuff. Internal investigation to the police chief wasn't launched out of politics or personal vendettas. It was based on serious concerns that were corroborated by a third-party investigator. If Mr. Roswell believes that shining light on internal dysfunction is a disqualifier for public service, and frankly, he's right. This job wouldn't have been a good fit for him. And there's more. You can go and read his full statement, Alderman Fuller's full statement on his candidate Facebook page for mayor. So yeah, kind of an interesting thing all around. Moving on to where you're going though.
I was talking about perception.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Yeah, I think that kind of is a bigger question of this whole situation rather than, because obviously it's never great to have a candidate drop out. And again, there's plenty of reasons for it. I mean, on top of it all, he might just have reconsidered that he wanted to take the job, and this could have been the out that he needed for it before the next step came.
It's not that a candidate dropped out though. Like that's fine because it's going through the interview process. A candidate should drop out if they're like, you know what? I just don't think this is going to be a good fit.
It's the fact that he was going to be a finalist, one of the last four out of at least a dozen.
But it was almost like, because he's like, I was prepping for the interview over the weekend, and then I found it. It was almost like maybe he didn't think he was going to be a finalist. I mean, I'm curious about that. Like he didn't think he was going to be a finalist, so he's like, whatever.
He just threw his hat in the ring for the heck of it.
And then it's like, oh wait, this might actually work. And then he's
I
like,
don't want to move from Florida to North Dakota.
And he has a independent company where he helps. Like it seems like that company
it's
could
like
not
a consulting
exist.
firm, effectively.
It didn't feel like it could exist and him be police chief.
Or he would have to get rid of it. Yeah, that would be a massive conflict. He'd have to dump his company and then come up here to be chief of police. He lives in Florida or New Jersey and operates a massive nationwide consulting company. Or what appears to be massive, I guess. I can't say that specifically.
Yeah, Tyler's just talking now.
I mean, looking into it, it looked like it was a big deal. Also, I find it funny that
he was applying for police chief jobs. So
this is true. Yeah.
So something about it seems a little bit weird, but I don't know. Obviously, I agree with you that the perception is not great because the headlines don't look good for it.
And I think
for Minot,
it's so much a bigger thing because now you have people starting to look up Minot when they get into this situation. And this goes back the last 6 months now. You get people that you want to hire into these high profile positions, and this can probably go across the board for any department head in Minot at this point.
I mean, it doesn't look good at all. Because forget about optics. It's just like, oh yeah, they have a city manager that's potentially leaving. They don't have a police chief. They don't have they have a mayor that it's not hard to find stuff online for. Yeah. They don't have a mayor. They have a former mayor that's not hard to
find out about.
Yeah, they just recently hired an HR director that just up and quit. Which I understand that there's a story there. There's like all this changeover. It's just not a great time, especially when it's executive positions that are being changed out and you're trying to fill them. It's a very difficult time.
And so much of it does stem from the police department too, whether it for right or wrong, better or for worse. This is where so much over the last 8 months has started from. This isn't the reason that it's all begun.
Right. But a catalyst.
It's one of the tipping points for it all.
I mean,
so now we're
mayor part didn't have to be in that.
No, that's just the icing on the cake at that point.
So as far as hiring, does Minot need to hire internally or externally?
I still think external is the way to go on this specific.
I'm just saying for executive positions in general.
I feel right now,
so say Harold Stewart
leaves,
gets the job in Lakewood, and
end of summer he's gone. Okay.
Decides that would be the best fit for his family. Everyone's like completely understand. Everything's good.
I I think.
What's the best deal? Is it to go? And I mean, obviously, right now we have Tom Joyce. That would be the obvious.
Yeah, be fantastic. I think that would.
Okay, but I mean, we don't know. He seems fantastic, right? So I'm not discrediting him.
Yeah.
Okay, but even say he takes it, and then he's gone in 3 years because he's able to get a promotion to a city of 80,000, because he's also not from Minot.
It's true.
Like, is that something that is going to be a thing?
That's something that they could consider. Yeah.
Is that just current? How this thing works?
So I think there's two sides to that. One, just because of everything currently going on, if that were to happen, I think hiring internally would probably be the best move, just for continuity's sake, knowledge of information, knowledge of how everything's going right now. Because to throw another new person into the whole situation probably isn't going to help anything.
No, I agree that hiring internally to fill, like promoting Tom Joyce would be the move for that situation. I'm just asking what's best for Minot.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going to next on the more bigger picture side of it, because I think a lot of times it is good to get new, fresh ideas in from outside that might not even be brewing in the area. So you have, Minot's a great place to be in, and it's a great place for thoughts to come to the surface at. But what if you get someone from a whole different thought perspective to come in here, and that could be a bad thing too in some cases. You can't guarantee it's a good thing.
But it'll keep you small too.
Exactly. And I think it's good to get new thoughts and new voices and new ways of looking at things. However, there is another side to this even as well, because like you said, you can get someone in this is just the next step in their career, which, on a personal level, that's great. You can't blame them for that.
No, you can't.
But on the city of Minot side, like you're asking, is this the best thing for Minot? Well, sometimes maybe you want someone that you can guarantee is going to be committed to Minot. Like, look how long Bob Schempp was city manager for. Dude was there for like 40 years. I mean, not that quite long, but like 30. I mean, it was incredible. And so you look at that kind of continuity, and I mean, you can argue that continuity and, complacency breed inadequacies in some cases, but at the same time, having someone that's in that job for that long means you don't got to worry about it. It means they must not be doing a bad job.
Yeah.
And if you can have someone that's committed to Minot,
that is not always true though.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's hard to get somebody out of a job.
It can be.
So they might not be doing anything like terrible, but they may not be helping growth.
And that's true, because incumbency in any position adds a leg up for a person. So if you've been there for 5 years, all of a sudden you're starting to be a little more questionable on how the job's going. All of a sudden it takes a lot more to get you out of that position than it did prior. Yeah. I mean, look what happened 5 years ago, what all it took to get Tom Barry to leave. I mean, it was a whole situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one. Obviously, there's the fight of the classic argument of the good old boys network. And if you get somebody locally, you just have that argument spark. That's a tough decision to make there. So, I want to have somebody locally because I want someone that loves Minot.
Yeah, I want someone to be here for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even care if it's 30, but I just want someone that loves Minot.
Yep, and wants to make Minot their home rather than it being a next stepping stone.
Right, yeah. So again, even if that's 10 to 15 years, like that's a good run.
Yeah.
But the 3 to 5 years where it just feels like there's a consistent turnover is something I don't really enjoy.
It's like right as stuff starts getting fully rolling is when it starts to kind of go off, when the next roll happens.
Yeah.
The turnover occurs at that point. It's like right when they're going in stride, but that's, I mean, again, on a personal level to someone who doesn't want to take the next step in their career.
Right.
I can't blame them for it on a personal basis, but on a more general Minot basis, like, yeah, it sucks.
I'll say this though, like, let's not just go and talk all around it. I think that the turnover on city council has affected city manager Harold Stewart a lot in his decision. For sure. I think that it's been a tough transition, for better or for worse. That's a decision you can make. But
just from the third party viewing it, they've butted heads. Yeah,
there's been a lot more headbutting that's gone along, and so I don't know.
It's going to be interesting to watch it continue to play out.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big month of June because we're already almost there. We're a week away from the June 3rd election in Minot, with the city sales tax potentially being increased. We're 3 weeks.
Have you voted yet?
I think early voting starts tomorrow, I believe.
And then you're going to go polling?
I might. I'm going to have to get my polls ready. Then on top of that, you have the debate that we're hosting in 3 weeks from today.
That's big.
It's going to be huge.
Wow.
And then July, you've got everyone's doing stuff in the summer, and you got the state fair. Then all of a sudden, August 5th is election for mayor. Then we got to figure out
busy summer.
Yeah. Then we got to figure out what we're doing with city council after that.
Yep.
And then
budget. And got to figure out a budget too. Somewhere in there.
There's going to be so much of that's going to start getting kicked off this, right now.
Yeah.
This late
Next
spring, early summer.
meeting.
They're going to start talking about it.
They've already been talking about it.
They have been. And they would have their budget meetings going right about now, but I think a lot of them, they kind of paused since everyone's familiar with the situation. So
you know what we're going to do again?
We're going to take a break.
We're going to go to a break.
I'm going to take a deep breath.
We'll be back in a minute and 15 seconds.
In the demanding world of oil and gas, precision, safety, and efficiency are non-negotiable. Unmanned operator drone services revolutionizes how you monitor, inspect, and manage your operations. With cutting-edge technology and expert operators, we deliver real-time data, detailed reports, and actionable insights for our valuable clients. Why risk the safety of your team or waste precious time? Our drones access even the most challenging areas with ease, reducing downtime and enhancing safety across your sites. We take the guesswork out of your projects by offering LiDAR, mapping, and inspection services so that your projects stay safe, on budget, and on time. Unmanned operator drone services, where technology meets safety, precision, and efficiency. Contact us today to elevate your operations.
Enjoy Minot's finest authentic Mexican cuisine with a view at Mi Mexico. The rooftop patio is open and ready for you to enjoy a margarita or other cool refreshment along with genuine mouth-watering Mexican entrees. Mi Mexico, South Broadway.
All right, we're back. So what are you doing next Tuesday?
I will already have voted by then.
You'll have already voted.
I will be hanging around the polling areas trying to do I will be hanging around the ballot areas trying to do some polling.
We've been talking about this every week, but there's a reason. We're just trying to get as much.
Yeah. We are trying to do
just talk about
our
as much
little
as we can.
part to get as many people out to vote for this as we can. A few years ago, you had one of the bigger things that's come through Minot in a while with the new the addition of Minot North High School, and it had an incredibly low turnout. We've talked probably at this point ad nauseum about the low turnout numbers for Minot's mayoral voting and city council. So I really would like to see like 3,000 to 5,000 people come out to vote for this. I would love to see more. Don't get me wrong, but
your goal is 3,000 to 5,000.
Realistically speaking, if we can get 3,000 to 5,000 people out to vote for next week, I think that's a win.
Pause. One of the problems, this is from Daryl Lee, one of the problems we have in government is people for the last couple of decades started looking at these positions as careers rather than source positions, which they truly should be. And that is true, and that is the problem with the city manager position in general, not because of our current city manager, but just in general, is because that's why what I was said on Thursday, if you could combine the mayor and the city manager position, you get rid of that a little bit because there's that accountability to the people in a very key position.
Yeah, that's fair.
The people have no control over that. And I'm not saying that that's truly the best deal, but
it would cut. It
would fix that one problem.
Yeah, it would fit. Yeah, that's fair. It would help at least with that direct area.
Yeah, it may create other problems, but it fixed that one.
Do you think so? There's two sides to this because I fully agree with the sentiment of it, but you look at the further side, and all of a sudden when you start, and we'll see this at the state legislature, maybe it won't make a difference, but even in local areas, you start seeing yearly turnover for like city council positions. Like all of a sudden next year, if Olson and Janser and Pittner all actually leave the council, now all of a sudden our most experienced city council members have been there for a year. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Or 2 years at that point. Maybe that's not a bad thing, but all of a sudden you do lose some experience with that turnover.
And yeah, I mean, I think that the city can continue to function without that.
Of course they will. They'll be fine. Minot will be fine. I'm just saying that's something to at least there. That is a flip side to that argument. I'm not saying it's necessarily the right argument to make, but
the flips. Just saying in general that you think that we should have not you think that, but that potentially we should have longer serving
having some people that have served for a while helps. Having everyone that served for a while is not a good thing because now you're just having people that are in there to self-serve.
Yeah, but you want to know who becomes like incredibly important if you have a higher turnover? People like the city clerk.
Yeah.
They know everything.
It's true.
You know what they even know?
What do they know?
They even know that back when Roscoe Striley was appointed as a city councilman,
Mm-hmm.
he was appointed specifically to fill that term until the next general election, which happened to be that fall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Scott Burlingham got voted in that fall and only served for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Not because somebody can only serve till the next election, but because they was specifically appointed for that. And that's why if Rob Fuller becomes mayor, that the person that's appointed that will actually serve 2 years, 2.5 years, not just till the next general election next year.
That part, that's still.
So, but I know that's a discussion point,
Mm-hmm.
but that's also something that they are able to provide. Like they know,
Just like that.
they know all the interweavings of stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it just makes people like that in the city way more important about that.
No, you're
They're
right.
they're already very important,
But it adds. That's where a lot of that institutional knowledge ends up coming from.
it's stored at, and there's nothing wrong with that because it's great. You're able to go to the resources, you're able to understand, and then you're able to make decisions rather than having emotions that sometimes get carried over into it.
Yeah. No, 100% there.
So, and that's just another counter argument.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't think I'm for term limits at the city level, but
Not in
since that's
general,
basically
like,
what we're talking about.
Maybe I guess you could argue at like a major level cities that are like millions of people.
That's not what we're
but,
talking about.
And Minot, a place like here, especially smaller places, I don't think term limits are a thing. You get
Nope.
into smaller towns like of a few hundred people. I mean, it's hard to find people that are willing to even take on those roles at that point. So
you're not a fan of the whole deal where if they appoint someone to Rob Fuller's spot, then that person can serve for 2.5 years?
no, I think they should be. I think there should be an election that following November.
Or
I don't think that
in November.
at the next general election, which would be November of 26.
So you don't even think it should be at the one where they're voting for all the other councilmen?
I mean, if they can do it, fine, but it specifies general election, and that's not a general; it's a primary election.
But you have to understand what it's referring to, and I don't know because it could be referring to like the next election,
Period.
not a special election. It could be simply avoiding special election.
That's true, and I'd be fine with that. But now all of a sudden, we're electing 5 of our 7 people on the city council at one point.
I mean,
I'm
what
not saying
difference
that's
does that
wrong.
make?
Maybe nothing necessarily. It's just something to consider. All of a sudden, we're having a massive amount of turnover from this one single election, and for better or for worse, maybe there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know.
Yeah, you're still having the same amount of turnover whether you address it right away or if you go and you try to spread it out.
Yeah, that's true. Whether it's in June or whether it's in November, it's still going to happen.
Still having massive.
But also, I guess, regardless, my main point of that is I believe that appointee shouldn't fill out the remainder 2.5 years. I think there should be a vote for them either the following June or November.
Yeah, and that's something that evidently council has the power to do
Okay.
because they did it before.
Mm-hmm. However, I still think that person should be appointed initially.
Yeah, we should not have a special election.
For that. No, I think that should be an initial appointment, and that's whether it be Fuller, Janser, or Pittner that win. I think that role should be appointed, and then if it's Fuller specifically,
because he's the only one that this affects.
Yeah, because if it's Pittner or Janser, their seat is open next year anyways, and Fuller is the oddball out in that case because his goes until 2028 is when his seat becomes open. So that's my only thought on why his would be the exception to that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
No. Again, we're gonna have a great debate on June 17th. It's gonna be at the Mouse River Players Theater downtown Minot. Doors open at 6 p.m.
Miranda Schuler says all city positions are elected traditionally on primary election.
Yes.
If appointed, the person should only fill until June. They should.
We
We agree that they should, but I guess technically it is not a requirement, and that's
the
crazy.
slightly confusing part. Yeah. Is how. Yeah, I don't know.
And that is I talked with the city clerk on that, and that was the understanding there.
The confirmation from that end of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I definitely think they should be so I think we're all in agreement come November, regardless of who wins. If it's Royce, obviously there's no point to it, but if it's one of the other 3, regardless, there should be an appointment made. And then if it's Fuller's, I guess I don't know if we agree on this, but I think that if it's Fuller, that there should be a vote on that person next June or November if that happens.
No, I agree that it should be June.
Okay.
I don't disagree with that. I just don't think it should be November.
That's fine.
The only reason why it happened with November with Scott Burlingham is because
Ross won the mayor's seat.
yeah, so they immediately appointed it, and then they said the next election we will go and vote in somebody long term.
Yeah, and so
that made sense for that time.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with June. I just because it said general, I thought maybe there was a chance it has to be then, but if not, I'm totally good with that being on the ballot in June.
Yeah, very cool, very cool.
Heck yeah.
Yes, June 17th,
6 o'clock.
Master Players Theater. We're gonna be going and having a debate.
It's gonna be fun. Everyone should show up. It's going to be free to come in. We've got 150 seats we got to fill in there. It's going to be a blast. We're going to find a way to get you to get the crowd interacting in there, at least indirectly. If not directly, it's going to be a blast.
It will be. It'll be a good time. It'll be a good experience. Great for Minot. And we'll get to learn more about our candidates.
Exactly. Because there'll be a little bit of a forum part in there where we do get to know everybody.
Yep.
And then hopefully we'll have a section where we're able to let them go head to head and debate each other.
That should be fun.
I look forward in a true debate setting.
True debate. And we're not trying to create drama, to be clear. We are not wanting that.
No, not trying to get this.
You're making it sound like,
I know. You're right. I might be alluding to that. I don't want that at all. I want this to be a true debate because you look at some national level debates. You have it. They're set to very rigid and strict guidelines. You have a 2-minute answer, and if you are specifically mentioned, you have a 30 or 60-second rebuttal time period, at which the next candidate then gets their 2 minutes and a potential for a rebuttal if the moderator gives it to them.
The one thing that's unique, though, about city council, especially with a lot of the candidates coming from it, is that they already have semi-debates.
Yeah, on a bi-weekly timeline.
Yeah, at council. And so, like, a very top topic is liquor licenses. Well, we've pretty much heard the different viewpoints on that. It's been pretty well stated. And another top topic is childcare. We've pretty much heard the viewpoints on that.
With childcare for sure, and with the liquor license for sure from two parties. Have we heard Janser's full take on that? We've seen his vote.
Potentially not, yeah.
But I don't know if we've heard his full.
Right. I'm just saying in general, though.
Yeah, you're right. I'm getting into semantics of it.
You
right.
are.
Yeah.
So they get to go and address those things. So we'll address those important topics, especially the ones that are tabled. But we'll also find some other things that will matter over the next 2 to 3 years to talk about.
We're gonna have to ask him about the chief of police situation. We'll have to ask him about if they're going to be mindful with their devices and all kinds of different things.
Unbelievable.
It's relevant.
It's relevant. So that's coming up on June 17th.
3 weeks from tonight.
Looking forward to that. Very good. I will now hit unpause.
Or what? Oh, gosh,
we are going back to June 3rd.
Oh, that's right. We were going to discuss that next week. Yep. So we were talking about turnout and stuff at that stage.
Yes. So you're going to be doing some polling. Make sure you get out. Vote simple. If you want to decrease property taxes, get a new turf indoor facility, and increase sales tax, vote yes.
And if you want everything to remain as is currently, vote no.
Yeah.
With Minot 7.5% sales tax and your property taxes the way they are, that is the no vote. Or if you want to see a change, you have to vote yes, and that way you see your property taxes get a slight reduction, and then you will see a sales tax increase across the city of Minot.
Do you know how you're voting yet?
Honestly, no.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I honestly don't know.
I'm leaning towards a direction, though.
Yeah, I'm leaning one way, but I want to. I want to see at least 3,000 people get out to vote for this.
That's going to change your vote?
No.
Because I was just talking about how you're going to vote.
I don't. Yeah, who am I going to influence? I don't want to influence anyone with my vote, however it might be. And regardless of that, I'm
saying that they were going to influence your vote.
Oh,
because I was asking how you were vote, and you're like, I just want to see 3,000 people vote.
That's
like,
fair.
How does that affect your vote?
I don't know how I'm going to vote.
But you're leaning one way.
I think so. But the bigger picture of this whole thing for me is I want to see a good voter turnout. That's what I really want to see happen.
This is such a tough one to go.
How do you get people out for this?
No, I don't even care about the voter turnout. I just want to talk about the issue for a minute.
Please.
Like, how do you vote on this? Like,
yeah, in general, no, this is a good point, and I'm getting too big into the voting thing because polling, but there's a couple sides, because if you don't own a house, I don't own a house, so why should I want a higher sales tax for less without a property tax reduction that I don't get? I mean, that's one argument. Like, why do I want to see a sales tax?
Is that how you think about it?
I don't. Me personally, no. But that is a way that you could
Yep,
think
it
about
is.
it in this instance. And I just don't want to see Minot. I don't like taxes. Who likes taxes?
No.
I don't want to pay more sales tax in Minot if I don't have to. Would it be cool to have the indoor facility? Yeah, it definitely would. And would it be a more simplified process for the park board to pay off a lot of their maintenance fees this way? Yeah, it would. And I can't argue with the property tax reduction in that same regard. To see people get money back, that's always a good thing. I just don't know how it's going to equal out in the long run.
Yeah.
Are people going to get more money back on their property tax reductions, or is Minot going to end up paying more in sales tax?
Right. And so Daryl Lees makes a good point again. Things to consider with sales tax: if the tax rate gets too high, those of us living outside the city just order even more things online and avoid additional sales tax imposed by the city.
Yeah.
And that's like all that's talked about with the sales tax is we're going to create an indoor turf facility. More people are going to come because we're going to have more events here, which is going to pay for that. You know, we're going to make so much money because of that. And that's a hard argument to go
Project
against
out, yeah.
because it makes sense.
Yeah. On the
But what
surface.
they don't talk about is next Tuesday, there's nothing going on in Minot. But if it's rainy, all the farmers are going to be coming to town and they're going to spend money and they're going to go this place and they're going to do this and they do that.
Yeah.
And they might be like, you know what? I just don't really feel like doing that. It is not worth it anymore to pay gas, to go somewhere, to pay 8% sales tax for Minot.
When they could get
The big end building ain't even cool.
when they could get 75% of what they need from,
They could order online.
yeah, they could order anything online, or they
And
could go,
pay probably 3% lower, or 2.5% to 3% lower.
or otherwise Rugby, Botno, and Williston are all. You're going to
Yeah.
get the majority of what you need if you're in that rough area.
Right, if you need something immediately.
Because one thing I was going to offer, but I rethought it, thankfully. I was going to say people from
Appreciate
like Eastern Montana could, instead of coming to Minot, but they get their sales tax nixed regardless because of Montana. So like say someone from Williston that needs to come to Minot to buy appliances that maybe Williston doesn't have. So you come to Minot and all of a sudden the sales tax here is higher than it is in Bismarck. Is it worth making that trip down to Bismarck and spending an extra hour on the road rather than coming here for that reduction in sales tax? Okay.
No.
And I guess that's the argument that people would end up.
Yeah, but that's too far away. Like, I think like Williston's too far away to have in that discussion. You have to be looking at the 83 and you have to be looking at.
So maybe Stanley then. Say someone living in Stanley or Ross or Ray, and they need to just go grocery shopping.
Right.
Do they come to Minot or do they go to Williston at that point?
Right. They would go to Williston instead.
I think that's probably a more fair comparison to make for the situation.
Way better.
But again, that's a very good point, and that's
Which is
something that
Williston's already 8%, so it's still
okay. So it's
still
a
not
wash
great.
at that point.
Yeah, that's according to the internet.
So I guess
So
at that
argue
point,
with that.
yeah. So at that point, there's no reason in theory to. It's whatever you're closer to. So if you're getting the same price regardless. If Minot has something Williston doesn't, you're still probably going to come here. But if you're looking for something that Williston has that Minot also has, it's probably whatever you're closer to in that regard.
Yeah, for that specifically.
Yes.
But it could be, yeah, because right now they could on a big purchase be like, I'd prefer to make it Minot.
Mm-hmm. No, without a doubt.
0.5%. Yeah. It's not a ton. It just adds up over time.
Yeah.
I think the bigger deal is where's the main shopping. It's not going to be a decision by decision basis.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be what's their main hub that they go to, because 0.5% isn't that big of a deal even on a $1,000 purchase.
No.
But what it's bad is on you spend $40,000 a year in a city. Which city are you going to spend it in?
Yep.
Or 30,000 or 20,000, whatever that annual amount is.
Because it's not exactly, you're right. It's not missing out on one trip over it. It's them no longer coming here throughout the year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it adds up over time.
Right.
That's, I think you're right with that. That's a bigger thing for the whole notion.
Yeah. The only time I look up a sales tax while planning a trip is like if you're going to go to, which I've never been, and I've never looked up sales tax before a trip, but if you're like Vegas, because you just know it's going to be high, like what is it going to be? Oh, this is going to be ridiculous.
Well, yeah.
But I've never been to Vegas.
Fair.
Well, really, I had a layover, I think. So
You've never done the Vegas experience.
not.
You want to go to Vegas,
No.
Jonathan? You could film it.
That's
You want
not.
to party in Vegas?
No. All right.
I love it. But no, sales tax vote next week, big thing to look out for. And I think that is a good point. Who actually does think about, sales tax when you're going on a trip? I think it would be a very localized issue to some people on where they would end up going in that regard.
Yeah. So, right. This is interesting. If you have a friend in Montana
friend,
no sales tax. You live in North Dakota. You have them, they're coming to see it anyways. You have them buy all this stuff to save 8%. Bring it to you.
Damn.
And so then you get back into the day. So I lived in Oregon. And when you traveled, I remember growing up, when you traveled between Oregon and California, there was a border check. Yes.
What?
I remember this. There was a border check and you couldn't bring, I think it was produce across.
What?
And it could have just been something situational because of whatever they were trying to stop something specifically. But yeah, so you could go and be like, okay, you could begin to impose duties as a state or something like
California.
that. Yeah, it's such a California thing to do, right? Yeah.
Gosh,
I don't think that it would ever go that far.
It has in some places.
Yeah. No.
But no,
I don't even know if it's still there.
What are the odds it's not? That's down the rabbit hole we're not going into right now.
It's been a good discussion today. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We're looking forward to June 17th. That's going to be a live stream. That's going to be live. It's going to be a good time. Go away, dude. Just stop. I feel like this is not good. I feel like that is not a good thing.
Sorry, my French accent isn't promoting the debate.
It is not. Yes. So, but thank you for watching this episode. Make sure you have this vote that's going to happen on June 3rd. Have it on your calendars. Make sure you get out and vote. Yep. To Kyler's point, he wants to see 3,000 to 5,000 people.
Early voting starts,
which is crazy. That's not very many people at all.
See, that's the thing. That's not even that big of an amount of people, and it's still.
How much do you think it's going to be?
2 to 4.
Will you do like the ice bucket challenge? What's your number? You would do the ice bucket.
The fact that's coming back after 10 years is wild.
Yeah, no, we'll do an ice bucket challenge, okay?
If it reaches 5,000 people.
No, that's not how I want to do this. We're setting this up live on air.
Yes.
I want you to give a guess on a number.
Okay.
And if it is that number, I do the challenge. If it's not that number,
within how many?
You do that.
Like 500?
I'll give you 750.
Okay, so I'll say 3,500 then.
You have to give your range.
So then it would be 2,750 to 4,250. 750 either way of 3,500.
But that's a 15. I meant you have a 750 range.
Total range, not either way. Okay, see, yeah, we're clearly working this out live. We'll do 3,250 to 4,000.
Okay. 3,250 to 4,000. So if it's in that range, is this fair to you?
I think that's fine.
How about this? 3,500 or less, you don't have to do it. 3,501 or more,
I have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
That's a wider range for you, and that's more fair.
That's fair. That's
okay.
Yeah. Instead of it just being
sounds good.
That gap. All right.
So
it's worked out, folks.
35. If it's
over 3,500 votes, I get cold water dumped on me.
Yep.
If it's under 3,500 votes,
I get cold water dumped on me.
I love it. Okay.
And we will
record
that. Yes.
We'll do it in our parking lot back here. It'll be great.
Sounds great. Deanne, it's a great idea. We might have to have Daryl on again. He was on many months ago.
Yes. You
back on the conversation. Yeah. Had a great discussion about property taxes at the time.
Yeah. Gosh, Daryl, that's coming up again. All of a sudden it's back on the agenda. So you're going to have to get him on with me. I'll talk to Daryl.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right.
Thanks,
appreciate
everyone.
Ice bucket challenge at the debate. Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad.
That's the move.
Yeah, have it done there.
All made up and stuff. That's the move. I like it.
All right. We'll see y'all next time.